I chose to come to Milligan because even though I was offered a full scholarship to play basketball and baseball at Butler University, which was only 20 miles from my home, the pastor of our church, the Plainfield Christian Church, was Robert Fife, and he was a great influence on my life, and he received his PhD at Butler grad school and became a professor at Milligan. And just weeks before school was supposed to start, he asked the coach, Duard Walker, to come visit me and try to encourage me to come to Milligan College. And I had heard so much from Dr. Robert Fife about Milligan, and I was impressed with just the kind spirit of Coach Walker that I decided to come to Milligan sight unseen. I'd never even had, I may not have come in those days if I had seen it. It's nothing like it is now. We only had 3 or 4 or 5 buildings, and our gym was about 1/50th the size of Butler University, which at that time was one of the largest arenas in the country. So, but that's how it all happened.
Okay, now let's talk about your accomplishments at Milligan.
Well, how I got into the Hall of Fame at Milligan was through the basketball, although I played 4 years of basketball and baseball, and we had good teams. We were playing in a very tough conference, 2 conferences, as a matter of fact, and I'm proud to say I made all conference 6 times. How you do that? You must have been dumb. No, I was, my sophomore, junior, and senior year was all conference in both the Volunteer State Athletic Conference and the Smoky Mountain Athletic Conference. And the VSAC at that time had East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, Austin P, UTMB, Belmont, David Lipscomb, as well as Carson Newman and LMU, and it's just a huge conference, and it was a good basketball conference. And I left Milligan as the leading scorer points per game in career, and that has held up. It held up for quite some time. It's been surpassed several times by now, but I think it's still in the top 10 or whatever it is. But anyway, those were the reasons, as much as anything, that I'm talking here about the Hall of Fame.
Let's talk a little about your journey. How did you get from Milligan to coaching in the NBA?
Well, we don't have time for all that, really. It's very circuitous, but turned out that, again, one of the reasons I came to Milligan was to study for the ministry, which I ended up with a degree in religion. And the year that I was supposed to go back to Butler to graduate school for seminary, my major professor, Dr. Owen Crouch, a great man, my Greek professor, and as well as other, and just good friend, and for whom I was an assistant pastor for 2 years at Piney Flats Christian Church, called me just before school was to start again at Butler. I know they must think I'm crazy because I never did go there. But he said, you know, you ought to come back and work a year, make some money before you go on to graduate school. And if you want to do that, I already have a job for you, coaching basketball at King Springs School, just a few miles from the school here, which this was 7th and 8th grade. And so I would have pretty well done whatever Dr. Crouch thought I should do. And lo and behold, we did all these almost miraculous things with the basketball. We scored over 100 points 4 times in just 6-minute quarters. So that's half of an NBA game. And we beat up on pretty much everybody around. And so I decided maybe that was supposed to be my path. And I decided then to go to graduate school at Indiana University to qualify to teach and coach in Indiana, where they were playing the best basketball in the world at that time, and as far as high school basketball was concerned. And so I did that, and did that for 4 more years, and we won a lot of games. And at age 27, I became coach at Earlham College in Indiana, and that had been my goal, to coach small college basketball, because I'd liked what had happened with me and others at Milligan. My friend Sonny Smith, my teammate, who later became the great coach at Auburn University, coaching Charles Barkley, and so many other good friends that I went to school with there. And after a number of strong years of coaching, 9 years at Earlham College, during the summers I was invited to coach in the Pro League in Puerto Rico against ABA and NBA coaches and Division I coaches, and we won 3 national championships there in a row, and one of them said, "Why don't you come and be my assistant coach in the ABA at the Utah Stars in 1975?" And that was the last year of the ABA. The next year, there was a merger with the NBA, and my head coach, Tom Nasalki, became head coach of the Houston Rockets, and he said, "Well, you need to come down to Houston now," and I did, and within 3 years, he went back to Utah when the New Orleans Jazz moved to Utah, and became the Utah Jazz, and I became head coach of the Houston Rockets in 1979. And 1981, we played for the national championship against the Boston Celtics, Larry Bird's first ever championship. And I've made a living one way or another in the NBA ever since, even now at this time being a vice president in the NBA Development League with the Texas Legends.
Give us some detail about how hard it is to become a head coach in the National Basketball Association. What was your path like?
Well, it's really hard to become a coach in the NBA, and particularly if you didn't play in it. That's kind of a normal path. You have many of those coaches that have come from having played in the NBA, but a lot did not. And I would not recommend trying junior high coaching first. I can tell you that's not the path. But mine was that path, having been successful at Earlham College, and having written some magazine articles in coaching magazines, and then books on coaching that got the attention of people internationally. And I was just blessed to be able to coach with the Rockets, and then the Bucks, and then the Lakers, and then in the meantime, during the summers, to coach with 5 different nations' national teams. That took me all the way to the Olympics in 2004 with China as the head coach, and with the World Games twice, the World Championships twice, in Toronto and in Athens, with Canada and with the United States. And so it's been a wonderful experience, but very difficult. There are only 30 NBA coaches. There are 100 U.S. senators.
What do you do now? What is your life like after coaching in the league?
Right now, for the last 6 years, I've been involved with the great development league of the NBA, the only minor league they have, and been with the Texas Legends since it began. I coached it 1 year when we couldn't find somebody that we felt good about, and the last few years we've had former players that I coached, Eddie Nahara for 3 years, and now Nick Van Exel that I coached at both the Lakers and the Mavericks. So in the meantime, I've also continued to work internationally with teams like the Dominican Republic national team, helping John Calipari, my good friend who has had such a wonderful college coaching career.
What is the value of a Milligan education experience?
Well, I think that it's so important to have the Christian education programs, because what is going on in the nation's universities in terms of the lack of teaching the true roots of how America was formed and how great a Christian experience all the or most of the founders and all the great universities were founded for the purpose of Christian education, mainly for educating pastors, as a matter of fact, originally. But I think that the large universities have largely lost their way, and I really believe in the slogan of Milligan College, which is Christian education, the hope of the world. I believe that, and I've continued to support scholarship for Milligan College, as well as Earlham College, as well as Dallas Christian College here in Dallas, where I'm on the member of the board of trustees.